I want to make a singular case for one particular way of using this money. And I've thought long and hard about, what our priorities are, what they mean. Many of the things that are on this list can be funded in other ways. Some can be funded from the general fund, perhaps not as quickly. Others could come from enterprise funds and fees, et cetera. Things like parking could be bonded against revenue, and there are other things like that that could be bonded against future revenue. The one on this list that I see as a community priority that could be funded successfully no other way is affordable housing. Now, examining the most recent report from the Rent Control Board on the 10-year impact of Costa-Hawkins on the housing supply here in Santa Monica, one sees that we have lost no fewer than 15,000 affordable housing units over the past 10 years. And while we have made admirable efforts to catch up and to provide new affordable housing, we certainly have not been able to do that. And in providing affordable housing, we as a community have decided we're not comfortable taking outside funding that requires us then to allow people from other areas to come move into Santa Monica into the affordable housing. We've decided we prefer to do affordable housing that has at least a priority for people who already live or work in our community of Santa Monica. So the redevelopment money that we have before us here represents a unique chance to fund that, and particularly to acquire and rehabilitate existing housing in the community, in keeping with our land use and circulation element priorities for trying to preserve our neighborhoods. The amount of land left in our city that we could purchase and build new affordable housing on is becoming vanishingly small, but there are certainly a number of buildings in our community that are over time becoming available for purchase, and which rehabilitated would mean a deed-restricted affordability and the retention of our neighbors, the people who currently live in Santa Monica, who'd have security and safety in their housing. So I would suggest that we allocate the remaining money to affordable housing. And I would say that knowing that it means that some other things that we have talked about might not happen, but all those other things, as wonderful as they may be, won't mean much to people who don't get to live here anymore. And I think that as stewards of the public's money, we have to understand that it's the public that wants to stay in Santa Monica that we're serving. And by putting this money into affordable housing,
70 cents.
we'll be making that possible.
If people are discussing more discussion, those people should discuss, because that's going to make up a Kevin's first, then Pam, if you'd like.
I'd like to move us back to the premise that what we should be looking at here is what cannot be done any other way and is most crucial to the people we represent. And I think it's a false premise to present this as if we're deciding not to fund some of the things that are on the list, but that can be funded other ways. We're not saying that those things will not happen. We're simply saying we won't use this particular pot of money to accelerate their happening. On the other hand, if we do not allocate this money in a substantial amount, and I mean really substantial for affordable housing, that is an unmet need for which no other revenue will become available. And 175 units is 175 families who get to stay in our town. And I think, next week we'll all be sitting on the stage at the Samo High graduation. And we've all been there year after year watching kids walk up and get their diploma, knowing that when they move out of their family's house, they're probably going to have to move out of Santa Monica because there just aren't the opportunities for people who are on starter incomes, people on fixed incomes, people who just don't have a large income to remain in our community. And that economic diversity that Mayor Genscher talked about is crucially important to the city of Santa Monica. Today I was at a meeting of the Sustainability Committee of the West Side City's Council of Governments, and we talked about housing needs. And it was obvious that we in Santa Monica do a remarkable job, but that the job we do with the money we've had just isn't enough. And we're continuing to lose people from our city who I think have earned the right to be Santa Monicans, living here sometimes for generations, and because there's no affordable housing, they're eventually forced out. Here's an opportunity for us to do something. You know, I heard a lot of talk about legacies. What better legacy is there than to watch a Santa Monica child grow up as a lifelong Santa Monican? I think housing is so central to everything we try to do in Santa Monica, and all the other good things we've talked about that can be funded other ways are good because they benefit the people who live here. So I'd strongly urge the council to go back to the idea, excuse me, of putting the majority of this money into affordable housing. I thought there were a couple of compromises already made with the land acquisition and the freeway capping. I'd like to examine what minimum other compromise it would take to get us to truly fund affordable housing tonight.